This is one of the shortest
On
videos
with me
of
today
Fallen
is
State episodes
Pastor
that I have
Herb
seen.
D. Thomas. He's the senior pastor of the Renewed Church of Los Angeles. Am I right?
That's,
Renewed Church of Los Angeles. Thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
I absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so, were you called to be a pastor, or did you go to school for it?
Well, at the age of 9, I felt the presence of God over me. I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so I went through that entire Pentecostal experience. And it wasn't until I matriculated through college that I decided to get a bachelor's degree in theology, or to study theology while I was still in college.
Oh, I see. So God didn't call you. You decided to go to school for it.
No. I believe
Right.
that I was called by God to do what I do.
Oh, you do.
Yes.
And why do you believe that?
So I always wonder, like, it's just a thought. You know what I mean? You can let me know what you guys think about it. But if you are somehow called by God, if you are called by God, okay? Not somehow. If you are called by God, it's just a question. Wouldn't God teach you all that you need to know if you are called by God? Do you have to go to school for it? You know what I mean? That's my question. Do you have to go to school if you're called by God? Wouldn't God just teach you everything that you need to know?
Why do I believe that I was called? I know that I'm called to do what I do because because I have a passion and I have a desire to see people.
Okay. And when you say what it
Let me play that back.
Why do I believe that I was called? I know that I'm called to do what I do because because I have a passion and I have a desire to see people elevated from where they are to where they need to be.
Oh, okay. And when you say where they are, do you believe that human beings are in a fallen state?
Explain what you mean by that.
Fallen. You're a pastor. You should know.
Yeah, but explain what do you mean by a fallen state?
Do you know? Do you believe that human beings are in a fallen state? You know what fallen means,
A
right?
fallen state means that they've fallen from the grace of God.
Yes.
Is that what you're okay?
Right.
So I believe that that humans have fallen from a fallen state, but with the whole deal with reconciliation, I think that God reconciles us back to Himself.
So you do agree then that human beings have fallen away from God, right?
That humans have fallen away from God according to Adam and all that, yes.
And then at some point, those who seek Him will come back.
Those who seek Him are that He's called back to them, yes, then they will.
Is it possible to overcome that fallen state?
It is possible to overcome that fallen state if we accept Christ back into our hearts.
Right.
So
how does one know when they're in a fallen state?
Well, a person will know that they're in a fallen state when they don't live a life that's acceptable. I believe that's really acceptable to themselves. So like a person that is a drug addict, or a person that is drinks too much liquor, a person that maybe
But what if drinking and smoking is acceptable to that person? Then are they in a fallen state? Because he said it got to be acceptable to that person. As long as it's acceptable to that person, then, or if it's not acceptable to that person, then they're in a fallen state. But what if they're doing everything? They're smoking, they're drinking, you know what I mean, having sex out of wedlock, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff, and it's acceptable to them. Then what?
possibly not living their best life, or doing what they're called to do, I think that those people are the people that find themselves in a fallen state.
So when they're not living their life according to God, then they're in a fallen state.
If you're not living a life that is according to the principles of God, yes,
Then you're in a fallen
then
state.
you're in a fallen state.
So
It changes now.
So
It changes.
I read, and I don't know if it's true or not. I like to ask the person before I mention,
Okay.
know if it's true or not. Are you a homosexual?
I am a same gender loving man.
So it doesn't mean you're a homosexual.
It means that I'm a same gender loving man.
But just from I'm black and slow,
Okay.
and just for the record, does that mean you're a homosexual?
I could be considered a homosexual.
Are you considered? I don't want to think of you if you're
Yeah,
not.
I'm a homosexual.
You're a homosexual,
Yes.
and so you're a homosexual pastor.
I am a homosexual pastor, yes.
How long have you been a homosexual pastor?
I've been a pastor for 8 years, senior pastor, and then before that, prior to that, I was a youth pastor.
Oh, okay. Why do you think that God would call a person, a homosexual, to be a pastor, but not change him?
So, I don't think that God majors where we minor. And so I think that what happens is I think that we put limitations on God that God doesn't have. For example, we could, if you go to seminary or something like that, you find out that there's a thought process that God could possibly be a woman, or that God could be this, or that God could be that God can be whatever it is that you need him to be.
You believe that he can be a woman?
I believe that God can be whatever it is that you need him to be.
So can he be a homosexual too if you needed him to be one?
Well, honestly, I don't think that God, the Bible says that God is neither.
That's a
male
good
nor
question.
female.
Right. So how can
So-
he be a woman then if he's not a female?
Well, I'm saying that. So there's a book that's by who's the book by? There's a book that is written. It's called. What is it called?
But that's all right about the title. What about the book?
But in the book, the principles of the book talk about God swaying himself to the spirit, and it's called The Shack by W.M. Paul Young. And so if you read that book, then you find out that God basically finds himself congruent to whatever state of mind a person is in. And so at one state, God is a Jewish carpenter. At one state, God shows himself as a big black woman in the kitchen cooking.
Big black woman?
A black woman in the kitchen cooking. And
So you think God can be a big black woman?
I think that God can be whatever it is that you need God to be at that
Do
moment.
you think that God can be a homosexual too?
If God needs to be a homosexual, I think that he was, but I don't liken him to that. I don't liken God to be, to be an isolated gender.
So you believe that God could be a woman, or be a black woman, or homosexual?
God could be whatever you need God to be.
And so does that person make God what they want him to be in their mind so they can accept being wrong? Or does God switch genders and all that kind of stuff?
I don't think that God, that we create God to be whatever we want God to be in our minds. I think that it's based on experiences. The experiences of that person allows God to transform himself in whatever it is that person needs to be. For an example, if you've ever gone to Africa, or if you've ever gone to a part of the world where there's no westernized religions, to where people they don't have an isolated form of who Jesus is or what he looks like, opposed to what you were talking about earlier.
Right.
We don't know what he looks like, and so since that, God becomes whatever it is that person's
But
experience.
those countries that don't believe in God, there are S-hole countries, and they're all trying to come here now and bring.
If
that
it's one
S-hole
thing,
back.
I've not been on this earth that long, but that's the first time I've heard somebody said that God can be anything that that person wants them to be. God can be a woman. God can be black. God can be whatever. Because, and the only way you can think that is like, you have to think that. The only way you can see that is that you have to think that, because ain't nowhere in the Bible God talks about being whatever you want me to be. You know what I mean? And then it's just, to me, it's, to be honest, it sounds like an excuse to do wrong, because then you could say, well, God, I need you to be a drug addict, or I need you to smoke weed, or I need you to do this because I do it. I need you to get high, or I need you to be into the woman because I'm into women like that. You know what I mean? That's just some examples, but to me it sounds like an excuse more than what God really is. Let's continue.
Attitudes.
Their S-hole, what is that?
Huh?
What is that?
What is S-hole country? It's an S-H-I-T hole.
Oh, you're saying that they're S-hole countries.
Right, because those people don't believe in God.
I wouldn't say that they don't believe in God. I would say
They don't believe in the real God. They have their own made-up God based on their imagination, right?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that we experience God on the level that we know God. So if you have somebody that is an Indian and they've never had anyone explain to them the ideology of God that is created here in Western culture, then I think that
What
that
is
person,
Western culture?
Western culture is where we are now. It's what we operate in a canonized version of the Bible, in which we accept as the authentic truth of
But Western culture is the best culture, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Then why everybody trying to come here? If we're not the best, if Western culture is not the best culture, why everybody trying to come to what's not the best culture?
Is everybody trying to come here?
Everybody and their mama. Have you noticed we can't keep the illegals out?
I wouldn't.
Everybody and their mama.
Everybody's trying to come here,
Yeah,
but
they
I would
are.
say that there are people that are trying
From all over the world.
to come here from all over the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if we are not the best country, why are they trying to come here? Why don't they go to the best country?
We can consider ourselves to be the best country,
But we
and
are
maybe,
the best.
and
And that's
maybe.
because of Western culture.
Well, I wouldn't use the word best. Maybe I would use the word. We're probably a country where people are allowed to be free and be themselves.
So we're the best.
If you say best, then I'll go with that.
So I want to go back. You say God is a black woman.
I didn't say God was a black woman. I used the book as an analogy
That God was a black woman.
to show us that God could be whatever it is that we need God to be.
Amazing. Do you believe that book?
I believe that God could be whatever it is that we want God to be.
Really?
Yes.
And so you've been a homosexual all your life, you said earlier, right?
At the age of 9, I knew that I liked the same sex. Yes.
How did you become that way?
I didn't become that way. I knew that was my innate nature to be to like men.
And so how did your nature go from a natural nature of being a man or male to an unnatural nature of becoming a woman? How did that happen?
So, you said the unnatural nature of me becoming a woman?
Yeah, how, if you were born a natural male, right?
You're born a natural male.
Right, you were, right?
I am a male currently sitting here in front of you.
But how did you go from being a natural male to an unnatural woman?
Who's an unnatural woman?
But isn't homosexuality is like being a female feelings?
No.
What is it?
No.
What is it exactly?
Being gay.
He looks like he's about to go off.
Being gay, being a homosexual, whatever term that a person wants to use to identify themselves, it's an innate state of being. It means that this is who that person is. If I'm not a woman, I'm a man sitting here in front of you having a conversation. I have a penis, just like you have.
Well, you do have the male parts, but now they're cutting that off too. Did you hear about that? We'll get to that. But do you feel inwardly? Do you feel like a male or you feel like a female?
I am a male sitting here in front of you.
No, but what do you feel
I
like?
feel
on
like
inside?
a male. And
Inside?
I am a male sitting here in front
I
of you.
realize that, but inside, do you feel like a man or you feel like a woman?
I am a male sitting here in front of you. So that answers your question, right?
I know.
I don't feel like anything because I am a male.
You don't feel like neither male nor woman?
Try the new Stearns & Foster collection first at Mattress Firm. For a limited time, save up to $600.
You don't feel like neither male nor woman?
I am a male sitting here in front of you.
I realize that, but what makes you think you're a homosexual then? If there's not a
What makes
feeling on
me-
your side, why do you think you're homosexual?
Homosexuality is not a feeling; it's a state of being. It's who the person innately is.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with creating a feeling that you're talking about. It's an innate. It's the innate nature of who that person is. I innately am who I am. Me being gay or homosexual has nothing to do for me with being a man. It has everything to do with my preference and who I choose to sleep with.
What does the word innately mean? What does that mean? I'm black and slow. I don't know what that means.
The word innate,
Uh-huh.
the word innate means that I'm not changing or I'm not becoming something else. I am who I am.
Just before we started the show, you said that you introduced your. Is he your husband or your wife? Is that your husband? He gonna be your husband or your wife?
I'm gonna end this.
It's a question.
Why?
Because we're ending this right now.
Why you want to end?
We're ending it.
Well, why
Take this
come
off.
back?
Take this off. When you want to have a real conversation,
I'm
call
having-
me.
I'm-
No, you're bullshitting me,
Come
and
back.
I'm not gonna be a part of that. Come take this off of me, or I'm gonna take it with me.
But why are you running?
Come take this off of me.